Well, hello YouTube friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the Painted South. So it has been a long time since I have posted. We have a lot of catching up to do in the next several videos. Now, this particular video today is going to be a video where I painted a few things that I already had on hand, as well as a couple of plastic urns that I got from Home Improvement Store. Now, I have done some other urns in past videos. I will link them in the description below as well. But these I did in a completely different way, and I really hope you like how they turned out. And I took a rooster and a hen that I've had for years. I started to paint that they were white, two different, they weren't a pair. They were just, one was shiny and one was sort of a concrete. And I ended up turning them into a pair that looked like old antique terracotta statues. I just love how they turned out. So it was quite the process. As you know, if you've watched any of my other videos, I paint and I just sort of change things as I go. So bear with me through the process, but I really think you'll like how they turned out. So I'm going to be sharing that with you today in this video. And then in the future, we're going to be looking at, I have a haul for you, probably two hauls, some larger pieces that I purchased, some bookcases, some large metal pieces that go on the wall. I'll be sharing those with you. Those are for the garden room. And we are working on the old laundry room, which is now going to be sort of a wet bar, butler's pantry, beverage station. And so that's in progress. And I have a couple of great projects I thought you might be interested in that room. And one of them is taking Lowe's stock cabinets and turning them into cabinets that look very custom, and I'll get behind all of that in that video where I'm sharing that makeover, because we got some bids on some cabinets for just a small wet bar sort of pass-through room, and it was quite shocking. I don't know if any of you have gotten any bids on custom cabinetry or semi-custom cabinetry. And this was actually a quote from Lowe's. I was shocked. I knew it was going to be high, but it was several thousand higher than what I thought it was going to be, which I even guessed high, but it was even higher than that. So I can't wait to share all that with you. I'm excited to get my hands and my paintbrush on those cabinets and see how they turn out. So that's all going to be coming up in the future. All right, so let's get into today's video. I hope you enjoy how these projects turned out. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. First, let's take a look at some of the photos that have inspired me to bring that indoor-outdoor European garden feeling into our home. I love everything about these photos. I love all of the elements that are used together to create these types of looks. I have been looking for some iron garden gates or metal wall art to bring in that element into our home, but I needed a certain size, and so I was so excited to finally find these 3 iron pieces on Marketplace, and they were in a beautiful home in Myrtle Beach. That's only 3 hours away, so we took a quick little drive down there and brought them home, and they are going to be perfect. I can't wait to show you where they're going in the garden room. Okay, so I love terracotta pots, planters, and urns, but they can get very pricey, so I wanted to create some lightweight ones that were inexpensive that I could use inside of the house. Back in the spring, I had purchased these 2 plastic urn planters from Home Depot. I think they were right around $25 each. They're very similar to ones that I had seen online that were much more expensive and antique, of course. Now, these already do have a faux stone texture look to them, but I definitely wanted to add a little more in today's makeover. I am also going to be painting this white rooster and hen. They were mismatched, but I want to make them look like a pair. I had already started painting them a different color last year, but today we're going to completely change course and paint them so that they look like an antique terracotta statue. To get started, I took an almost empty bucket and added some joint compound to it from another container. And to that joint compound, I added some fine craft sand. Now for my base coats, I'm just trying to use some paint that I've had on hand for a while. Later on, I'll show you some colors that you can buy from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or even Walmart that you can use straight out of the bottle. I'm just mixing up some things that I already have on hand, and you'll see that as we go along during this project. I also added some sanded grout mixed with water to my paint mixture. This adds a little more volume, a little more texture, and a little bit more durability to the paint mixture. If you happen to do this and your paint gets a little bit too thick, just quickly add some water and stir it very well. Now, if you're painting a detailed surface, you don't want a very thick paint mixture to go into the cracks and crevices and build it up too much, because it will take away that detail. So you may want to dip your brush in some water to help spread it over those areas and make sure that it's covered but not filling in those areas. While the two urns were drying, I painted that same base color over the rooster and the hen. As you can see, I had already started painting this rooster and hen sometime last year in more of a neutral shade, more like a concrete look. So I already have several layers on them, but I'm going to be adding even more today. When I am done with the base coat layer, I often take some of that paint and I will add a lighter color to that paint for the next layer to create more of like a highlight. Next, I am taking the folk art color called Terracotta and adding it to my paint mixture. Now, there are so many different shades of terracotta. There are super light shades all the way up to very rich and dark. So if you decide to do a project in your home like this, I will show you some paint shades later on in the video, like I mentioned before, but you can just mix any color up that you want. You can layer them and really adjust it to suit your home decor. Some people have a lot of very light colors in their home. You may want to go with a lighter color, or you can go very dark. Really, it's just personal preference. If you've ever watched me paint before, you know that I like playing around with a lot of different color mixtures and adding lots of variations to whatever surface I'm painting to give a lot more depth and interest. So I end up doing that to the planters and the hen and the rooster. While those projects were drying, I bounced down to the wet bar / butler's pantry that we're working on, and I put a coat of primer on the ceiling. Now, if you love terracotta pieces that have that beautiful whitewash, you can achieve that look by watering down some white paint. Here I am using Rust-Oleum chalked paint in the color Chiffon Cream. Now, if you decide to do this to your project, make sure you don't rub too hard. You don't want to remove the paint off of the surface that you're painting, so you want to gently dab and pat. You can rub a tiny bit, just don't use too much force. Now, I love the look of the urns with the whitewash, but here is where I started to change the paint finish for the hen and rooster. I really wanted them to have more age and more color to go along with my normal decor. I love the whitewash, but it was just a little bit too light, so I started by adding some dark decorative glaze, but I only used it sparingly on both pieces, and I used a wet sponge to blot off the excess. I loved how the rooster and hen were looking, but I decided to cover even more of that whitewash with just some straight terracotta paint. Now, I have used this crackle medium before, and it didn't work that well this time. Maybe I needed to put it on a little bit thicker. I did wait an hour, and then I applied an even darker terracotta mixed color. The cracks were very subtle, but it still added a little bit of age to the finish, so I think it was a good step to include. At this stage, I think that the paint finish was really coming together, but the last step made it exactly what I wanted. If you look closely, you can see a light dusty layer, which really helps add a little bit more authenticity to the antique look that I'm going for. To add this product, you first have to apply Dixie Belle Best Dang Wax in clear. I tried to focus on getting the wax in all of the creases and crevices. With a different brush, you then add Dixie Belle Dirt. I am using the color Ash, but it does come in a couple of other colors. And then once you've applied that product, you just swipe off the excess, mainly on the raised areas. I didn't show this step, but I did take all of the pieces outside and spray them with a clear matte top coat. So here are the planters before, and here they are after. I'm very happy with how they turned out. You can pretty much paint these planters any color you can possibly think of. There are so many options and so many different finishes that you can put on these, and I wanted to do some large terracotta ones, and I think that they turned out really pretty. Now, I know this rooster and hen started out being mismatched, but I think they ended up looking like the perfect pair. I am super happy with how these turned out. I love, love, love the color. I can use them year round, and I think that they are rich enough that they will look amazing in my upcoming fall decor as well. Now, I was in Hobby Lobby getting the paint, and I saw that they had their spring items on clearance. They had some roosters that were 66% off. It's probably even more now, if they even have anything left. This was a few weeks ago when I filmed this. So they were maybe $20 for the larger one, something like that. But you can go to a thrift store or even just shop your home or yard sales. It's very easy to pick up large roosters or birds or anything that you might want to give that French country or European garden style. There are plenty of colors to choose from at Hobby Lobby and Michael's. If you don't want to mix your own paint, they do sell a lightly textured paint by Folk Art, or you can just add a little bit of baking soda to any one of their matte paints. They're very inexpensive, and most of these will cover a small project. I will say this, you need to check your prices. Some of the bottles were much less for the exact same paint. Some were like $1.79 and $3 something. So just make sure that when you go there, check the prices on your paint. I grabbed 5 different colors while I was there and I tested them, and the 2 that I thought were the closest to a regular terracotta pot color were these 2. Now, you can mix colors, you can add some white, you can blend colors, whatever. They're very inexpensive. The little matte colors are around $1.17, or you can just go to your hardware store and have some samples mixed up if you would like to do that. Now, right now, my house is a mess full of these stock cabinets from Lowe's. We are working on some great projects that I can't wait to share with you. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked how the projects turned out. Again, please let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love for you to do so. Make sure that you are subscribed, and if you'd like to be, that you have on your notification bell so that you get notifications every time I upload a new video. I know a lot of people tell me that they get unsubscribed or they're not getting notifications, and the same thing happens to me with my favorite YouTubers. I'll be like, girl, I have not gotten any notifications and you've posted like 4 videos. So if you're interested, just make sure you have on your notifications selected to all so that you receive all notifications. Well, thanks again, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. So until then, bye for now.